Hi, I'm Maggie Weldon from maggiescrochet.com, and this arm knitted scarf video is sponsored by Premier Yarns. In this arm knitting project, I combined Premier's Starry Night yarn, which comes in 9 colors, and this is a ribbon yarn, and I decided to combine it with Starbella Flash. And Starbella Flash is typically used for the ruffled scarves, but it works out beautifully in arm knitted projects. And it has glitter on the edge, so it kind of matches the glitter that's in the Starry Night yarn. And I love these color combinations. When I go to a close-up to show you how to make these scarves, I also show you a close-up of the color combinations that you see here. And these are super easy projects, these arm knitting projects, and that there's a lot more on our YouTube channel, which is Maggie Weldon. And links to everything are listed below. And now I'm going to take you to a close-up to show you how to make these super easy scarves. So for the Starry Night, I have double the yardage that I do in the Starbella Flash. So what I did was I took it all off of the ball, and then I folded it in half, and then I wound it up into a ball. So this is a double strand of the Starry Night, and then I'm going to pull from the inside of the Starbella Flash, and I'm just going to use a single strand of this. So what you want to do, we're only casting on 4 stitches, and what you want to do is take your yarn like this and measure off just 1.5 yards. And the way I do that is I just stretch it from the tip of my fingers to my nose, like I pull my arm out. So I'm just going to do that right now and measure. And then if I need 1.5 yards, I just put this yarn up next to the other to get my 1/2 yard like that. So then at the 1.5 yard mark, 1.5 yard mark, you want to make a slip knot. So I take all 3 strands together, I wrap it around like this. The top strand I put across the back of that loop, and then I pull that forward. And then I tighten it up a little bit, and then I put that on my arm, and then I'm going to pull on the slip side of the slip knot like that. And I'm ready to go. This counts as my first stitch right here. So then this is my long tail for my long tail cast on, and this over here is my working yarn. So now I just put my fingers in like this, I pull up, now I have 2 loops on my hand. I'm going to go on this side of this loop like this, and I'm just going to grab the other loop like this, and then let this loop drop down over that loop, and then put the new loop right here up on my hand, and then I'm going to underneath here, I'm going to tighten that up like that. So that's my second stitch. Now I'm going to do the same thing again, pull up the 2 loops, go on this side of that loop, and grab the other loop like this, like I'm just pinching it, and let this loop drop down, and put the new loop up on my arm like this, and then tighten underneath. Now I have 3 stitches on my arm. Now I'm going to pull up like this, go over here, pull the new loop up like that, and then I'm going to tighten underneath, put this new loop up here, and then do that. So there, I have this much of a tail left, and it might be a better idea to do like 2 yards for your long tail, because that's kind of short, but it's not that bad. But anyway, to be extra careful. So now I'm ready to not worry about this one anymore, and I'm only going to be working with my working yarn. So what I want to do here is hold the working yarn like this, and it's very important to hold it like that. You don't want to hold it like this or any other way. You want to hold it just like this. And then you just drop this loop over that working yarn like this, and let this loop drop, Now this is a new loop. You take the new loop and you put it over on the opposite arm, and then you tighten. You tighten after every single stitch. This yarn goes back in your hand like this. Then you pull the 3 strands over the working yarn like that. You just let that drop. Take the new loop and put it over here and drop it like that. So if you think about this as these are new loops, and then the ones you're dropping off are old loops. So I'm going to take this loop, which is going to be like an old loop, and pull it over. Now I have a new loop, and the new loop goes over here. When I was teaching my friend, it was like new loop, old loop, new loop. So this goes back in here, and pull this one off like this. So the old loop drops like this, new loop goes over here. Okay, that is row 1, and that's what that looks like. So now you just go back and forth. The loops will go back and forth on your opposite arm. So now working yarn in my hand like this. This loop drop off, new loop over here, and then tighten. Working yarn here, this loop off, new loop over here, pull, take this yarn, pull this off, take the new loop and put it over here and tighten. Working yarn in your hand like this, pull this off, new loop over here and tighten. Okay, so that's row 2, and that's what that looks like. So one more time, working yarn here, drop the old loop off, new loop goes on the opposite arm and tighten. Grab all 3 strands like this. This becomes your new loop over here and tighten. New loop over here, and then this one like that. Okay, so that's row 3, and you can see what it's going to look like. This is going to be gorgeous. So anyway, I'll go ahead and keep arm knitting my scarf, and I'm going to stop when one of these yarns is down to the last 2 yards, because I need to have 2 yards for my bind off. And another thing is, if you want to stop even shorter than that, if you want to leave some yarn for fringe, then you might want to stop like when you have like I don't know, like 10 yards left or something like that. Or you may want to just get a 3rd ball of yarn so that you can have maybe all of this. Starry Night would be beautiful for the fringe. And I'll show you how to do the fringe, or to sew it together like a infinity scarf or cowl, whatever they call it. So anyway, go ahead and finish arm knitting, and then I'll come back on camera when I have 2 yards left, and I'll show you how to make fringe and how to bind off and how to sew the ends together. So my scarf is about 4.5 feet long, and I'm ready to bind off. And I've learned from making 2 of these scarves that some skeins allow you to make these a lot longer than other skeins, or you'll have a lot more left over at the end of 4.5 feet of scarf. So anyway, to bind off, and I just love the way this turned out. It's just beautiful. And then at the end, I'm going to show you another one too, the copper coin one that I combined with marble. It's beautiful. So anyway, to bind off, I always want to say cast off, all you do is, first off, it doesn't matter which hand this lands up on. So it just so happened I want to end off on this arm. And so I'm going to hold my working yarn like this, and I'm going to work 2 stitches off of this arm. So I'm just going to move this over to here and tighten, and then move the next one off over to here and tighten like that. And then I'm going to take the previous loop and move it over the newest loop like that, and just drop it off. So that stitch is bound off. So then I pick up my working yarn again, and I work the next stitch off like this, put the new loop over here, tighten, take the previous loop right here, move it over the new loop like this, and that stitch is dropped off. Take my working yarn over here, take the new loop here, move it over here, and tighten. Take the previous loop here, move it over the new loop like this. So you'll land up with one loop left, and you don't want to drop that loop or else everything will unravel. And then you take your scissors, which I have right here, and okay, so you want to make sure that loop doesn't pull out, and you cut about maybe 8 to 12 inches from the end like that. And then you just take the last loop and bring that strand entirely through that loop and just pull it. You don't want to pull it super tight, but that will lock in place. So that's your finished scarf right there. So you have two options. You can fringe the ends and have it just be like a regular scarf, or you can sew the ends together. So a fringed one will look like this. This is the the copper coin and the marble together. Look how beautiful this is. So we fringed the ends, the short ends of to make like a scarf out of it, like that. See how beautiful that is when it hangs down? Oh, I just love it. So anyway, that's what that looks like. So I'll show you how to do both ways. So what I did is I cut an 8-inch piece of cardboard, and then I just take my leftover yarn and I hold a double strand of the Starry Night with the Starbella yarn like this, and then I just start right here and I just wind this around. So just keep going until you have enough. And if you want like a lot of extra fringe, you could go into another skein of yarn. So I just cut down here right where I started on this end, so I'm going to cut at this end, and then I'm going to cut at the bottom. Right, like, if I can get my scissors in there. Okay, cut there. And now I have all these strands. And I want to have the right side of the scarf facing me. So the right side is where the ovals are. So right here you can see the ovals, and on the wrong side, like this, you can't see the ovals. Like you see just bars across. So I've got this strand and I can work this into my fringe. That's one advantage of doing fringe. So let's say I just take the 2 strands of Starry Night and mix it with 1 strand of Starbella. Like this, I fold it in half. Then I take the folded side and I bring it through the loop, a wad of loops right near where this one ended. And I'm going to take the folded side and I'm going to push it through there. And then I'm going to take all of this and pull it through the loop. That's how I would do a normal fringe, like that. And then just pull that. But when I'm near this strand that I want to incorporate into the fringe, I just pull that through too before I tighten. Like that. So then you just pull this like this. And then you just keep going like that all the way across until you have the entire thing fringed. So you should have about the 4 stitches, so you should have at least 4 fringes going across on each side. So you just need to kind of pull this out like this to see your 4 stitches. So that's how you would fringe, and then it will look like this. So you'll have your little, like your little bars from the fringe will be facing this way. So, okay, so now if you want to sew this together, let me take this fringe off. And I want to be on the wrong side this time to sew the sides together. So you go around and line the whole, let me get this one out of the way. Okay, so you go around, line the whole thing up on the wrong side. like that. And then all you do is take your leftover strand. Sometimes the ends will be together like this, but sometimes one is here and one's up here. But when they're together like this, I take advantage of that and I just tie a knot down here. And I don't want it to be really tight, so I just do kind of a loose knot. And then with my hand, or you could put this on a safety pin, I just kind of loop these together. Just kind of like a whip stitch, like that. And I'm matching up the cast on stitches with the bind off stitches. So you just go across like this. Like that. And just keep weaving it through until all your ends are in. So that's how you make this beautiful, beautiful arm knitted scarf or a cowl. So I want to thank you very much for watching, and make sure that you watch all of our other exciting videos, and be sure to subscribe to our channel.